Hi everyone, welcome back to my lab. If you're new to my channel, I'm Yori. I do bring you makeup and beauty related videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday at 9 a.m. Central, and I do hope you will subscribe, join my makeup family. Welcome back to all my existing YouTube friends. Thank you all for your recommendation for this next installment of my 5 first impressions and a throwback video where you recommended I use the Urban Decay Naked palette. Today we're throwing it back to the original Naked palette. For my 5 first impressions, we are going to play with goodies from Wet n Wild. I have their Photo Focus Concealer, Essence Sun Club Matte Bronzer, the Flower Beauty Highlighting Palette, the new Stila Shimmer and Glow eyeshadows, and lastly, the Fenty Beauty Liquid Lipstick. So if you're interested in seeing how I came up with this look and also my first impressions on those 5 products, then let's get started. Today we're throwing it back to the Urban Decay Naked palette. I actually intended to use the Naked 2 palette because I wanted a more neutral look, and that one's like a little more cool tone, but I can't find it. And I wonder, do I have that one? I do have this one, and here's what it looks like. It has a lot of neutral shades. I want to use a liquid shadow as well, so I'm going to stick to more of these neutral shades, but this is what it looks like. Very nice palette. This was actually a request for this series, so I am always very happy to do that for you. Hopefully you can see I have actually already done my complexion, and my complexion duo is the Hourglass number 28 primer with the Urban Decay Naked Skin One and Done. I'm just gonna go get my hair done today, so I don't need anything too full coverage or fancy, and so I went with those two. So let's go ahead and start with the Wet n Wild concealer. This is from their Photo Focus line, and I picked mine up in the shade light medium beige, so I hope that this one is going to work for me. I will have the prices and everything else on the screen. So here's what the packaging looks like, and it does have your traditional doe foot applicator. It does have a little bit of a makeup-y smell, although it's nothing compared. I think this color is gonna do just fine. Although it's nothing compared to the foundation in the same line. I know a lot of people have expressed concerns that the foundation kind of smells like paint. It really kind of does, but still it's really good for the price, and I do enjoy the foundation. I do feel that the concealer is a little bit dry compared to something like the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. This one feels a little bit more dry. I haven't ever used this concealer before. Usually I try to pair my foundations with my concealer, so if I go with a very lightweight foundation, I have a tendency to prefer lightweight concealer, so it blends nicer, but this is my first time using it, so don't really know what to expect. Since it does feel a little bit more dry, I'm going to try to blend it out with a damp sponge. Alright, so what I'm noticing is that this is a very full coverage concealer, and it seems to set really fast, so I probably should not have gone all over my face and waited to blend it out. It's looking really nice on camera though, but I don't think that it's a good match for this foundation because this foundation is more like a BB cream, and so it doesn't have that much coverage, so it's making my under eyes look a little too nice, if you know what I mean. Yeah, so this concealer definitely sets very, very fast. You probably knew that if you've used it already and you're like, blend it out. I hear you. I definitely should have blended out. So if you try this concealer, so far the coverage is great, but it definitely dries down very quickly. I did go ahead and put this over my eyelid as well since it blended out that way. So I'm just going to set it with a little bit of my translucent powder, and I'm using my Too Faced Prime and Poreless. So because the concealer is so full coverage, I do want to add a little bit more to my complexion. So I'm going in with the Maybelline Super Stay Better Skin powder, and I'm just going to set my entire face with this. I'm not going to apply it too heavily, but I do want just to increase the coverage just a little bit. Just want to make sure my face is nice and set, so when I do try the bronzer, it doesn't skip because I didn't properly set my foundation. I'm just going to contour really lightly. I'm using my MAC Cosmetics matte blush in the shade Harmony. I think this is a discontinued shade, but I chose it because it was sort of a nice cool tone brown, and whenever I'm doing a simple contour, using this product is really easy for me. I'm also using my Goss airbrush just to blend it out and make sure it's not too harsh. Like I said, I'm not doing full glam, but I do want a nice base since I'm gonna have a pop of red on the lips. I'm ready for the bronzer, so my second first impression item is going to be this one from Essence, and this is the Sun Club Matte Bronzing Powder, and I picked up the one for darker skin. It's in the shade number 2 Sunny. Hopefully you can see the pattern on this bronzer. It has a palm tree on it. Isn't it beautiful? It also has a slight coconut scent. Nothing like the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, but there's definitely a fragrance there. It's very light. So for the bronze, I don't want to mess up that pattern. It smells so good. For the bronzer, I'm going to use my Zoeva 90 Luxe Powder Brush. It does kick up a little bit of product and quite a bit of excess flew off of my brush as well. So definitely tap off the excess and let's see. It's blending out really nicely. It has a very warm tone to it, which I guess shouldn't surprise me since it's called Sunny. I like it so far. It smells really nice, but it's a really soft smell. It's not offensive. It's definitely not as strong as the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, even though I love that smell anyway, so it definitely doesn't bother me. But I know some people are really sensitive to fragrances in their makeup products, or they just don't like them altogether because they're not necessarily the best thing for your skin, but I think it's kind of fun. I think I like this. What do you think? It's sort of melded with my contour to make it look a lot more natural. So my thoughts on the bronzer, I really like it, guys. I like how it goes with my skin tone. It does kick up a lot of powder, but I kind of go in there with a heavy hand anyway, so if you're a little bit more light-handed, probably you won't have this problem. The pattern is still slightly visible, but disappearing. My doorbell just rang. That was my very first Linda Hallberg purchase. So that will be another video coming up soon. I talked about it in the makeup brands I want to try in 2018. I guess I'm getting an early start, so stay tuned for that. What I'm gonna try out now is the Flower Beauty, and this is called the Shimmer and Strobe Highlighting Palette. This is Drew Barrymore's brand. I'm a big fan of Drew Barrymore's, and her brand is carried exclusively at Walmart. We don't really have too many Walmarts in the city. It's more of a suburban thing in Chicago, and so it's very hard for me to get my hands on this, but my best friend gave it to me for Christmas. I mentioned we did our gift exchange a little bit early. Savage. And yeah, so I'm really excited in trying this. Okay, this is what the palette looks like. All right, and it does come with a brush. Feels nice. Although I think this is a little bit sharper than I would use for highlight, but I guess you can paint it on. Should I try this brush? Let's try the brush. So we've got 3 shades inside. Let me swatch them. Oh, they feel so smooth. Really smooth. Here's what the 3 shades look like. There is a cooler toned one, a more gold tone, and a pinky toned one. I guess let's go with the gold one. But I wanted my face, I don't know. I know what I'll do. I'm going to mix these 2 shades right here because why not? I'm going to go ahead and try their brush. Picks up quite a lot of powder. I may be overdoing it. Okay. First impression, you need this. I can't believe I waited this long to try it. Oh my gosh. I'm using a Morphe M501 to sort of diffuse that out. That was super pigmented. I really like this. Wow. I am in love with this, like in love at first sight. No wonder everybody raves about this. I get it now. This is awesome. Like, what a nice little palette. I'm not sure about the price since it was a gift, but I will look it up and I will put all the information I have on the screen, and I will definitely link it if I can find it online. So let's add a little bit of blush to sort of connect the two. Let's go for this one from Wet n Wild. This is the shade Apricot in the middle. I'm just going to apply this sort of right between where I applied the bronzer and the highlight. All right, I'm going to bring you guys a little bit closer because we are going to start with the eyeshadow. One of the complaints about the Naked palettes now that people have learned so much more about eyeshadow is that a lot of the shades are shimmery. So for matte shades, we just have the shade Naked and Buck. Okay, I'm going to use a Morphe E28 brush and I'm going into the shade Naked and I'm going to use that as my first transition. I did already set my lid with translucent powder, so I'm not gonna worry too much about that. I want to create sort of a halo eye with this, and I want it to be very neutral and light because I want the lip color to be the highlight of my look today. Alright, now I'm going to go into the shade Buck and I'm going to deepen the inner and outer third to prepare for a halo eye. I'm using a MAC 239 brush to set down the color. Urban Decay does have such nice quality shadows. I'm just using patting motions and deepening the inner and outer edge. When I have similar intensity, I'm just going to run across the top just a little bit to connect the two thirds. Alright, and I'm going to go in with the first brush and just blend the tops together. I just want to minimize the amount of blending I have to do when I put the glitter shadow down, in case there's fallout or anything like that. Now, because I want to make sure that you can get a complete look with just this palette, I'm going to go into the shade Sin, which is the second one right here, and I'm going to put that down where I'm going to put the glitter shadow on top. Again, the glitter shadow is for my first impression, but you can definitely get a complete look just using this palette. So I'm going to try going in with my MAC 242 brush for this one, and I'm using the shade Dry, and I'm just going to pat it down in the center of my lid. It's a super pretty shade. I know that's the name of one of their famous highlighters, and I wonder if they tried to match that shade. Applying really nicely. So many new eyeshadow palettes, and so we tend to forget about some old favorites. I am so glad you guys recommended this. So this is what the shadow looks like applied completely dry. What do you guys think? Maybe a little more shimmer when applied with your finger. I'm going to darken the inner and outer thirds just a little bit, more the outer part. The inner didn't really lose intensity, but the outer part lost a little bit. So I'm just patting down the shade Buck again. I'm going to take a flat definer brush now, and I'm going to use the shade Sin first, and I'm going to apply it to my lower lash line, and then I'll use the same brush for the shade Buck on the inner and outer third. I just want to start with the lighter shade, and I'm using a Morphe G28 brush. I think I want the lower lash line to be a little bit darker, so I'm going in with the shade right here. It's the shade Dark Horse, and I'm going to apply that on the inner and outer thirds. To brighten the inner corner and as a brow bone highlight, I'm taking the shade Virgin. It has a slight sheen to it. That's gonna be such a nice brow bone shade. I want to brighten the waterline, so I'm going in with the Wet n Wild brow highlighter. This could actually be a finished look right here. You could add some liner if you wanted to, or just mascara and call it a day. But since I do want to try out the Stila shadow, I'm going to keep you zoomed in, and I'm going to apply this one. This is one of their new Shimmer and Glow eyeshadows. This one is in the shade Starlight. Here's what this one looks like. The packaging is very similar to the Glitter and Glow. I've been wanting to try these because they remind me of the ColourPop Supernova shadows that I've been loving so much. I think that the advantage of the Stila ones is that their colors are a little more neutral if you're a neutral lover, and the ColourPops are more bright colors. So also the price, these are $24, I believe. So I'm just going to apply it right where I applied the shade Sin. So this is basically a metallic shadow. So I'm going to take a MAC 249 brush, and I'm just sort of going to blend it into the other. It does feel a lot like the ColourPop one. I would say this one is less glittery. It does dry fairly quickly as well, so you definitely want to work a little bit faster. And now I'm just going to apply the shade Buck on the edges and across the top. And lastly, I'm just going to blend out the edges with the shade Naked, and I'm going to do that on the top and also on the bottom lash line. Just going to apply some mascara, and I will be right back. I'm ready for the lipstick. So this one is by Fenty Beauty, as I mentioned, and this is the Stunna. I feel so silly saying it like that, but it's the Stunna lip paint in the shade Uncensored. Here's what the packaging looks like. Oh my gosh, it looks like a nail polish bottle. And the applicator, it's kind of like an hourglass. Doesn't smell like anything. Well, here we go. That is a red lip. This sort of took my look from I'm going to the hairdresser to full glam. It goes on very lightly. I can't feel it. I didn't have to reinsert the applicator. I got this much color with just one dip into the product. I feel like it naturally overlines my lips when I do it as well. It's drying down to a very deep red. It looks more like a true red in the bottle, I would say. And then on my lips, it's more deep. I can definitely press my lips together. It doesn't feel sticky at all. What do you think? That's everything for this video. Thank you so much for joining me today on this little makeup adventure. I have to say that absolutely everything worked out really, really well. My first impressions are definitely a good one. Since these are first impressions, I definitely reserve the right to change my mind as I try the products for a little bit longer. But so far, everything is just A-okay. I shared my thoughts with you in the video, so I won't repeat that here again. Thank you so much again for recommending I bring back my Naked palette. It's been a while, and this is a very good palette. Hopefully you enjoyed the look. If you have any recommendations for another palette to be featured in this series or any new products that I should be trying out, then leave those in the comments section down below. Otherwise, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you again in my next video. Bye-bye!